Everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a 4-game Major League Baseball slate for you. This slate is pretty small, and it does feature a game in Colorado, so this is definitely going to be a strange slate. You could opt to stack that game, or you could opt to avoid it, and so there's definitely good plays across the board that helps you do either one. As for pitching, it is a little bit suspect today, as there's only a few pitchers pitching, obviously, and we have one pitcher that doesn't appear to even be on the board today. So let's go ahead and get into the slate, though. We'll start with our pitchers. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really helps the channel a lot. So we're going to start with Pablo Lopez for Minnesota. Now, he faces Detroit, and he's in a good matchup here. He's also been pretty consistent for the most part this season, getting a decent fantasy point output most of the time. He's had a few off games, but I like his upside, and he's a clear P1 option today as he has the most upside on the slate. Then we're going to look at Miller for the Dodgers. Now, he does face a tough matchup against Houston, but he has been pretty solid with the exception of his last game against San Francisco where he gave up 7 earned runs. Other than that, he's been really good. I do think he's a good contrarian play off of Lopez. I don't think you would necessarily want to use him and Lopez, but I think that they're both in play today as P1 options, and he's a good contrarian play. But he is risky as he might have been found out a little bit in the last game. Maybe under our P2 options, we're going to look at Canning for the Angels. He draws some good metrics for this game. He also faces Colorado, though I do think some guys on Colorado are good here. He has been good the last 5 games, so he's the best P2 option, but that's not a big stretch today on this particular slate because there's just not many options available. And then Olsen for Detroit, he actually does draw a decent start here. He has had enough upside with his price point where he can get 15 to 20 fantasy points, and I think that's probably where he'll sit today. And if he can do that, he'll definitely be a useful option at this cheap price. However, he is high risk, high reward, so he is a Hail Mary play. And one benefit Minnesota has is that they do strike out a lot, but I do like a lot of Minnesota players today as well. So then I'm going to mention that San Diego's pitcher Matt Walden is not. He is the one that's projected to play today, but he's not actually available here on DraftKings at this moment. Maybe they'll add him before the slate starts. I'm not sure, but if they do, then he would definitely be somebody that I would say is a P2 option. But it doesn't look like he's going to be on the slate today, so he's don't count on that. Going into our catchers here, we'll start with Will Smith for the Dodgers as he draws a good matchup here, though he hasn't been all that great lately. He has some good potential and home run upside. Elias Diaz is probably my favorite option, honestly, for Colorado. If you want to stack this game, he's definitely somebody to consider as he draws good metrics for this game, and he has hit a couple home runs recently, and he's a lot better at home than he is on the road, and so I do like his potential here. Matt Thias, if he draws a start for the Angels, he'd also be in play in this matchup as he has some potential too, though I do think Diaz is the best option. Contrarian option, though, is Gary Sanchez, who has a very boomer bust upside here. He's a little bit expensive now, but he does draw home run potential, and he's high risk, high reward for San Diego. Moving into our first baseman, Ohtani is obviously the top tier option as he is fairly expensive though, but he has home run potential. He hit one yesterday. I expect him to have some opportunity again today to do that, and I like his upside here. Brandon Drury is also in play. Drury for Angels, he can also play second base, but he draws good metrics for this game, and I like his potential, though he's fairly expensive and somewhat hard to roster as a result. Freddie Freeman is also a contrarian option for the Dodgers. If you want to go away from the Colorado game, then he would definitely be my top tier play at this position. And then Jared Walsh is a good value play if he draws a start. He's a boomer bust play as he a home run or bust, but this is a good matchup for him to eventually do so. And Jake Cronenworth for San Diego is also a good option as kind of a Hail Mary play, though he has been hitting the ball a little bit better lately than he had before, so I do like his potential here. Maybe in the second base, we're going to start with Drury, who can play second as well. He obviously draws some good potential here and a good option here. Julian for Minnesota also draws some nice metrics. Not a huge home run guy, but he has some potential for it here as he draws some good metrics for this particular game. I do like his upside. Jose Altuve is also in play for Houston. He is a good contrarian play. He hasn't been hitting very well, though, so I'm not sure if he's in a slump or whatever, but he's in a good spot for some potential. Ryan McMahon for third base is a great option today. I do think if you stack Colorado, he's got to be your top option along with the catcher. And I like his upside in this matchup. He's also better at home than on the road. Manny Machado is a good contrarian option as he's hit the ball pretty well lately, and he draws some nice potential here with home run potential. We'll also look at Royce Lewis as a value play for Minnesota, who draws some really good metrics for this game, and I like his upside here. And he's just hitting the ball really well, and he has home run potential, so he's a great option today. Maybe in the shortstop, we'll look at Mookie Betts, who can play outfield as well, but I think he's better suited for short, as he has been pretty inconsistent recently, but he has home run potential. He's very expensive, though. Carlos Correa is a good alternative to him, as he's a lot cheaper, but he hasn't hit the ball very well. He's kind of been a bust play, which is a lot of guys, unfortunately, today, but he does draw some potential if you go with a Minnesota stack. And then Tover for Colorado, if you want to hit that game. At this position, he is by far the best option as a cheap play here for this particular matchup. Stack of Colorado of Tover, McMahon, and then the catcher is definitely in play. Diaz today. Tover has some good metrics for this game. Maybe in the outfielders, we have two guys in our core plays, which are Soto and Mike Trout. They both have max potential today. Tatis Jr. and Ohtani are both secondary top-tier plays and viable as well. I do think you're going to be able to fit some of these guys in because of the cheapness of pitchers, but everybody seems a little bit risky from the pitching perspective. So Mickey Moniak for the Angels also in play. If you grab some guys from this game, he's definitely somebody to consider as a value play in the outfield. Hunter Renfroe is also in play in the outfield, though he's been a little bit risky lately. He has some good potential, though, here if he does draw the start. Nolan Jones also in play for Colorado, though a little bit riskier due to his price, but he's hitting the ball well at home, and I like his upside here. He's actually been hitting the ball good pretty much everywhere, so he's definitely in play. Kirilloff from Minnesota is a good option. If you're going away from that Colorado game, he's somebody to consider as he's hitting the ball kind of up and down throughout the season, but he has some good potential here and good metrics. Max Kepler is probably a safer option than Kirilloff, as he has really good upside for home runs, though he hasn't hit the ball very well this season. He is hitting the ball recently pretty good, and he's had some good games. Obviously, he's hitting some home runs, so strike while the iron's hot. James Outman is also in play for the Dodgers, though he has been really bad lately. He finally had a good game in his last game, so I do think he has some potential here, though, and I like his upside at his cheap price. Peralta for the Dodgers also in play, though he is somewhat boom or bust, as he hasn't been particularly great. He does draw some potential today. Lane Thomas does have some utility today, just because he's hitting the ball really well lately, but he is fairly expensive and somewhat hard to roster. And then finally, last but not least, Brendan Doyle. He draws some interesting upside here, though he's boom or bust, but at home he definitely draws some upside in a weak pitching position. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Obviously, this slate is kind of rough, but it's just 4 games, so you're going to have to take some chances with some guys today. I would prioritize pitching and getting the right pitchers, and then just kind of fill in the bats as you can, and decide if you want to go with that Colorado game or not, and then that kind of be your guide. So with that said, thanks for subscribing, and have a nice day, guys.